My name is Algernon Bowles. I'm a Tier 1 support specialist for the Information Technology Services, the Client Services Division, or as you'll call us, HuskerTech. Sound effects with me. Okay, so with the masses of incoming freshmen and new faculty and staff, the first question that most people ask is, how do I get Wi-Fi? Everybody wants Wi-Fi, right? So there are two general ways that we try to direct people. The first is being just connect your peripheral to the wireless registration network. Once you do that, it will automatically take you to a page that you have to put in your credentials, and then it will supposedly automatically do it for you. But we know that sometimes that's not the case. So the second way that we like to encourage people is to visit that website, wifi.unl.edu. And what it does is it actually allows you to click this link right here that says register your device. It takes you through the steps. Now, yes, you will have to have your my.unl credentials, and sometimes you may have to have what most people know as a MAC address. Now, some people know what that is, some people don't, and that is a common problem. So on this next slide, I have included common problems and solutions. So first, let me mention that thankfully, we are not dumping all of the MAC registrations this year. So all returning faculty and staff, all returning students, their registrations will be intact, so you don't have to worry about those. Okay, so the first problem that we get all the time is I'm registered correctly, but I still have no access. And the reason that is, once you connect to the wireless registration network, it automatically pulls that network over any other one. Therefore, once your device remembers to connect to that one first, you will not be able to connect to UNL Air, which the mass majority of people use. So the solution, go into your network settings and say, forget wireless registration. So that's on iPhones, iPads, PCs, whatever you're trying to connect, do that. Try to connect again, and 95% of the time that fixes that issue. Anything else, just direct them to us. The next problem, it says, it's asking for a MAC address. What's that? That's actually how most people word that. What's that? So I've included this link right here. It's actually directs you to the ResNet webpage where it says finding your MAC address. Now obviously there are several different types of peripherals that are going to try to connect to the network. So this actually includes, these are kind of old screenshots, but they're like the same, the same general instructions for iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad. You can scroll down. Then you have Windows 10, gives you the command prompt where you can find it, and so forth and so forth. So that's a good tool that we can direct you to. The last one that we have mentioned is I can connect anywhere but my residence hall. Well, that's because the residence hall use what's called Safe Connect, and it allows the users in the residence halls to have that feeling of my neighbor's not hacking into my stuff. Pretty much. So there's another tool that we direct people to, and it is on that ResNet website again. The first step is the general just connecting to the UNL Air, but the second step goes into registering your device on Safe Connect. And so this literally goes step by step for the qualifications, the different things that they require for each computer to be eligible to connect in a residence hall. For anything else, you can always just tell them to come and speak with us. This is our official link to the Help Center. We have a few different locations where we are, the 501 building, room 105 from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Gives our phone and our email. We do have a presence in the Commons, as mentioned earlier, from 8 to 5. That's us full-time staff are there 8 to 5, and then there are students there until 8 p.m. And then we are also in the East Campus basement, it's Philly Hall, and we're also there from 8 to 5. So those pretty much are the basics concerning wireless registration, the problems that we see the most often. And if for some reason you don't know the course of action, how to get in touch with us. So I went through that pretty quick. Was there any questions regarding wireless registration, Wi-Fi, common issues? Yes?
There's also the guest registration option.
Yes, there is. There are several different Wi-Fi networks that we have, guest being one of them. You'll probably have a lot of parents wanting to connect to that one this next week or so. And it's very self-explanatory. You just connect to it. It'll tell you, hey, this is unsecure. You sure you want to do it? And then click yes, and then that's it. And then there's also a conference one, which you probably won't have any questions about. There's an education enrollment one that you won't have any questions about. So yes. Any other questions regarding wireless?
Will there be more staff up this weekend with all the students coming?
Will there be what?
More staff out for the weekend?
Out as in?
Available? Commons or anything?
Well, we will have more.
Yes, there will be additional HuskerTech staff in the Learning Commons this Friday from 11 to 4, and then next Monday and Tuesday from 9 to 2. So there'll be up to 4 of you guys in there. Sorry.
Did I see one more?
Yeah, back to connecting to Wi-Fi. When you say one of the solutions is to forget wireless, could you go over that again? What that means?
Sure. For that particular one, the way that it's set up is the wireless registration network. Once you connect to that, and you've gone through the registration process with your my.unl credentials and so forth and so forth, once you finish the registration and you try to connect to the UNL Air network, it will not allow you to connect to the UNL Air network if your preferences in your peripheral are still set to connect to the wireless registration network automatically. So you have to tell whatever you're trying to connect, hey, do not connect to wireless registration first. Don't do that. So uncheck connect automatically. Once you do that, then go to UNL Air, and you should be able to connect to that successfully. Any more questions regarding wireless? Okay.
Is there still UNL Air and UNL Air Secure or whatever that is?
E.
Yeah, that's right. Which one are they supposed to connect to?
We generally want everyone to connect to UNL Air. That is the one that we have the most bandwidth for. That's the one we're most prepared for. Students, faculty, staff, and guests. Well, not really guests, but the first three to connect to. Now, yes, UNL Air E or encrypted is available. Some staff use it. There's a link inside that first web page we went to that gives the instructions on how to do that, and that just provides a more, I would say, peace of mind to whoever's doing that. We know that like our law department, people that have different confidential things that they do, they like to connect to that. So, but for the students, we want to just direct them to UNL Air. That's what we want to direct them to. Any more questions regarding wireless? Okay, awesome. So we're going to move on now to print it. Okay, so we all know that technology has taken over the world, but there still is a need for printed page. So there are now kiosks all over campus. There were just 4 additional ones added. So this website right here is an excellent resource with anything regarding questions on how to print, how much is it to print, where can I go to print, those sort of things. So pretty much the basics when it comes to this are as follows. The easiest way to log into a kiosk is sliding your ink card. It allows you to access your account, anything that you put in your drive, anything you put in the print queue, boom, it's right there once you slide your card. Okay, let's say you don't have your card for one reason or another. If you tap the kiosk, it actually allows you to use your My.UNL credentials. You can just type it in right there, same accessibility. Okay. Now let's say you're not affiliated with the school at all. All right, there's actually a guest feature on there. So that means that people from the public, or let's say parents, or people coming in for conferences, they are still able to print. They can set up a guest account using their existing email, and it's just as simple as the previous two. Now, this particular website allows you to log in. I'm sure everybody's seen it, right? Raise your hand if you've seen the login once you've. Okay, that's a lot. So we're going to go back to this. So that's awesome. So that means you can connect your Google Drive. If you don't have Google for some reason, some people don't. There's actually a drive that is provided through the Inc. Company. You can use that. And then that website again gives you prices and so forth and so forth. So those are the basics. The basics. Any questions regarding ink or printing or how that works? Okay.
What if my format isn't coming out correctly? What do you recommend using?
Sometimes that happens. If your format doesn't work correctly, we always recommend changing the method of printing. So let's say that if you're trying to print a Word document and you throw it in your print queue, and now when you get it, there's G's and L's and E's missing, and then there's 3 lines coming down the middle, and you're like, what is this? So one way to combat that is to convert that document into a PDF. Generally, PDFs print out correctly most of the time, but sometimes they don't. So in that instance, again, change the method of your printing. So instead of putting it in the print queue, why don't you put it in your drive this time and print from the drive? Whenever, for some reason, there's never one solid way. So if it's printing correctly from the queue or incorrectly from the queue, sometimes if you throw it in the drive, that's fine. But then sometimes if it's printing incorrectly from the drive, then sometimes when you throw it in the queue, it works correctly. So you gotta kind of work with it, you know. Be flexible, you know. That was me being flexible. Okay, yes.
So for incoming students, are we still? I mean, what's like the party line on using first time to set up those? Is that something that we only do if students ask about it, or I mean, how does that work?
No, it's out there for the students. I wouldn't keep it a secret. As soon as we set them up, boom, let's throw it in there. Those funds are there for them to use so that they can get used to the process. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that to every single first-time user that you use. And if no one knows what she's referring to, is that first-time code that, if I heard correctly, the amount that it puts on now is $5.
Yeah.
Is that right? So that's a free $5 of printing, you know? So definitely encourage everyone that's a first-time user to do that. But if you're not a first-time user, it's not going to work.
Right.
That was a good point. Any other questions, comments, concerns regarding printing, the kiosks, anything of that nature? They scan too. They're about to start printing pictures, maybe. Okay. Checkout stations. Okay, that's the last thing I'm going to talk about. So, as brought up earlier, we do check out at these locations: the City Union, the East Campus Union, the Love North Library Commons, and the Penslake Building. We only have a couple requirements. 2 forms of picture ID. One of them has to be the ink card, because we don't check out laptops for the general public. We just don't. So one of them has to be an ink card, and the other one can be a driver's license or a passport, something of that nature. We are using web checkout. We know that y'all have started to kind of make that a standard as well, kind of. So that's what we use, and we do check out several different things at these locations, like the HDMI cords and the charger stations for your phone, and what am I forgetting? There's something else in it. I don't know. So yes, we do, but we actually only do it for 2 days. 2 days as opposed to 3. So 2-day checkouts at these locations, but at certain locations we actually check them out for a week. It depends on the location. It definitely does. They differ. Late fees are currently under discussion. That's the official political thing I'm supposed to say. So late fees are currently under discussion. That's all I can say about that. Okay. Any questions regarding computer checkout, the locations? Yes.
I want my students to know that where you check things out is where you have to reach them.
Yes. That is a good point. We have them color coded. Each laptop has a circular sticker, and that indicates where they checked it out, because, like she indicated, we cannot mix and match where you check it in versus where you check it out. It has to be the same location. Yes.
And another note for students that there has to be a HuskerTech employee there to return the computer. They can't return them after hours.
Exactly. Or else they are still on the hook for the laptop, because it has to be one of us to actually officially check it back in.
But can library people check them out? I guess that could be, but can Anna check things out after hours?
Not laptops.
Not laptops.
But
So
the
other
others
things.
I do
Other
reservations.
things. Okay.
Yes. I agree with everything you just said. Is there any other questions or comments regarding computer checkout locations or anything that we went over? All this was basic, so we have a ton of information if you want. Okay.